Hey. Welcome back to Preparedness with Sarge. It is a Tuesday. I hope you all are having a good Tuesday. I'm gonna give people a little bit of chance to pop in to chat here, see who wants to join us. But you know what? Even if nobody joins us, we're gonna do a little live stream here and see what we can do. I might change directions here though. It sounds like there's a lot of construction going on down the other end of the forest here, or mini forest. See if we can get away from that noise for you. Hang on one second, we're gonna move this way. So yeah, today we're gonna talk a little bit about financial preparedness. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think is where we're headed and how I know this. Now, as you guys know, my videos are for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial expert. My degrees are not in finance. I have taken some classes in economics, know a little bit about it, but I'm not a financial expert by any means. And you should not take this too seriously because I'm just a YouTube clown who doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, okay? So I hope you all are ready for this one because buckle up, it's gonna be interesting. Now, before we get too far into it, let's see, I gotta fix my thing here a little bit. Bonjour, thank you for joining me, thank you. Before we get too far into this, if you're brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I drop videos a couple times a week. Been doing a lot of live streams lately, and I'll tell you what my schedule is that's got coming up. So this Friday, I've got an event that I'm going to, as part of the work that I do for my primary job. So I'm not going to be doing the Friday night pre-party that we've been doing. Excuse me. But I've got a video. Hey, Silver Scorpion, good to see you. I've got a video that I'm going to upload on Friday for a little product review, actually for this hat. And it's not an ordinary hat, I assure you. So that's coming Friday. Next week, I will do another live stream on Tuesday. And then that Friday, I will not be able to do that Friday night prepper pre-party because I got some family stuff taken care of. So the schedule's a little bit off. Yeah, no worries, Silver Scorpion. I appreciate you tuning in. So the following Friday, I will release something. I think it's going to be silver and gold. But I'm working on several things. I finally ditched that video that was giving me such a headache. I came down to I had no choice. I had a foraging video that I had done out in this location, actually. Man, the pollen's bad. I apologize for the coughing and scratching. I'd done a foraging video out here and the editing on it was a nightmare. So I ended up just ditching it. And basically, I recorded the product review that you'll see on Friday instead. And I'm gonna try to get some shorts out because the week after that, well, basically that weekend, it's gonna be a little bit complicated for me. And then the following week, so we're looking at like beginning of July. At that point, I should be back on track with my regular schedule. I appreciate it. A lot of you have messaged me like, hey, when are you coming back with the regular videos? They're coming. You'll get one this Friday and you'll get one next Friday for sure. And probably the Tuesday after that. It just, schedule's been a little bit weird. I got a lot of good things going on right now. Hey, Cash and Coins. Hey, I saw you uploaded a cool video. I saw the announcement over on Instagram. I'm gonna check that out later on today. Cash and Coins has been bringing the fire lately. Y'all need to check out that channel for all the stuff, what's going on with the world of silver and gold and market manipulation, things like that. Really good content. You guys gotta check that out. And Silver Scorpion, who is here, who's having some signal issues, his channel is awesome too. He's pushing up in the algorithm, getting some subscribers. So please go ahead and check out him. He's been a real good friend to my channel. And of course, everybody that comes to this chat are good people. I always encourage you guys to support each other. So let's get, that being said, let's go ahead and get into the topic. So, hey Jessica, it's good to see you. So I'm gonna talk right now about what's going on with the economy, why I think that we're headed to a recession. I'm going to give you all my jam, all my proof, all my secret sauce that I got. I've talked about some stuff in my other videos, different things that I track, you know, like price of gold and silver, oil. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Oil, the value of the dollar versus the euro and the pound, things like that. Hey, Trident Stacking, good to see you. Those are some of the things that I look at. Of course, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500. But we are going to talk. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about some of that stuff today. But there's other indicators here that I think are more telling. And First big thing is, I'm going to slow down because there's some people in front of me. I'm going to give them some space. First big thing is the Federal Reserve is meeting today and tomorrow. So you're going to get, this will be in the news tomorrow. You're going to get some kind of press conference, some press release. Man, I put bug spray on too. Dang it. You're going to get some kind of press release based on their meetings, and what the Fed Reserve does is the central bank for the United States of America. And they work with the U.S. Treasury. Hey, Sarge, the other Sarge. They work with the U.S. Treasury to determine financial policy, fiscal policy for our country. Now, some of my viewers here are not from the United States, and that's okay, because any of the big world economies, right? So I'm talking about United States, China, Europe, Great Britain, has a tendency to have trickle effects on the entire world. So some of this is going to be important for you too. So I'm not here to sell you fear. If you go back to my videos from last spring when I really started kind of ramping up the prepping stuff, I said to you that I'm not here. I don't want you to panic. I want you to prepare. There's a big difference, okay? And the information that I'm seeing has me really feeling like I need to amp this message up. Okay, I need to make sure that at least my audience, you know, I don't have a huge audience, but I want people to see what I'm seeing, and you can make your own informed decisions about how you want to prepare for this. But I don't want you to be afraid, okay? Now, contrast that with some of the things I'm going to tell you and the spin that media and politicians are gonna tell you, right? I'm not trying to be a political channel here. I try to avoid that as much as possible, but there's some rhetoric that's coming out that is spin. It's just, if you know what spin is, it's spin, right? They're trying to take stuff that's going on that's very serious indicators and make it sound like it's not so bad, or that it's actually even good, right? Things are going to start, yeah. So what they announce tomorrow will have repercussions one way or the other. So one of the things that I think we're going to try to talk about some of the tools that they can do to try to avoid this recession. Some of the things they can do, but their tools are getting limited, right? Like we've released so much stimulus that you can't just keep buying your way out of this recession. One of my recent live streams, somebody said, Sarge, aren't we already in a recession, or haven't we been in a recession? Yes and no. We would have been, but they bought their way out of this. We bought time with stimulus after stimulus, and you know, that bought us some time, but everybody kept saying there's gonna be a price to pay for that. And lo and behold, we're coming up on that, I think. So, excuse me here while I go through my notes for just a second. All right, so I'm just gonna touch on a couple things real quick that I think, this is more world economy stuff. It's not really too much into what's happening right here in the United States, but everything, you know, all the global economies affect each other in one way or the other. El Salvador has announced that they're going to be accepting Bitcoin as a legal tender, and at least 4 other nations are looking at this: Paraguay, Panama, Brazil, and Mexico. Now, they are not saying, at least in what the wording that I saw, it does not say accepting as the official legal currency. They're saying they accept it as a currency, right? So that's, to me, that's different. Like, I can go into Canada and most people will accept my US dollars. It's not the official currency for that nation. So that's not as bad as it sounds. Now, if they decided to use it as their official national currency, if it goes that direction, that could make things very, very, very interesting for South America and Central America, because 2 Sarges in one channel. Yeah, Sarge is usually in my live streams. It's awesome. The problem, I'm not anti-Bitcoin. You guys know that. I actually do love to play around with cryptocurrencies. But the problem with the cryptocurrencies, if you choose that as your national currency, is that it's just so volatile, right? Like, can you imagine using the US dollar, but the US dollar is fluctuating from like, versus say the Canadian dollar. One day it's worth 50 cents compared to a Canadian dollar. The next day it's worth $1.50. Like, that's a lot of volatility, and it creates a very unstable environment for your economy. What affects South America and Central America will absolutely have an impact on the United States. I gotta pause here and show you that. Look at that beautiful beauty berry bush there. That's a real gem, and it's blooming beautifully, guys. I'll link it a little closer here. See if you can catch the flowers. I don't know if you can see the white on there. That's a real important bush. The beauty berry, of course, can be used as insect repellent, and the berries are edible. You can make jams, and you can actually make ink and all kinds of dyes and cool things with it. Great plant. All right, so that's that. Forbes, why? So this is from Forbes magazine. This is an article you can look up after my live stream if you want. Why the Fed is wrong about coming inflation, okay? This is from the Forbes website, sorry. So this is an article. I'm trying to see if I wrote down the author on that one. You can just look it up. It's why the Fed, it's the title of the article is why the Fed is wrong about the coming inflation. So if you've been watching the narrative, right? The narrative coming out of the Fed and even out of some politicians and some of the talking heads on your television from the media is that inflation's good, this is normal, right? Well, yeah, some inflation is normal. 2.5% inflation is normal. We are way past that. Way past that. How much did you pay for groceries this time last year? Or let's say, how much did you pay for groceries this time before the pandemic started? How much was your gasoline? We're way past it. We're way past what's considered normal, and they could try to spin that any way they want, but inflation can very easily turn into runaway inflation and then hyperinflation, and that's when we're in trouble. Yeah, so the gold is accepted worldwide, and silver you can do pretty well with too if you had to transition to another currency. That's definitely a good way to go, and that's why I'm a fan of gold and silver. That's not where I'm going to go today, and I think people are going to be surprised by that. I think people are going to expecting me to say now's the time to be stacking gold and silver. It's really not the message I'm going for today, but I am pro on gold and silver, and I will continue to stack those. I think everybody's situation is different, and if you haven't done a lot of preparing and you're looking 3 months ahead, your strategy maybe it's not the best thing to be going full on into gold and silver if we think we only got a couple months before this recession hits. Just one man's thoughts. I'm just a simple man, as Boba Fett says and Jango Fett says, I'm just a simple man making his way through the galaxy. So this article from Forbes says basically there's too many, well, that's interesting. Hang on. Seem to have caught myself into a spider web. All right. There was too much dollars chasing too few goods. Okay, so there's people getting back to work is hey Urban Grandpa, I was just watching some of your videos earlier this morning. People are not getting back to work at the rate that we need them to for this economy to get humming along, right? And they're going to spin that one too. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But it's not happening, and I'll tell you how they can spin it, and you'll be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard the news say that, but it's not happening the way that it's supposed to. Absolutely. So what can they do? The Fed can raise interest rates. What will that do? That will slow down borrowing. So if they announce that tomorrow afternoon after they're done meeting, what you'll see is there'll be a pretty big pullback on stocks. Check these out. Hang on one second. Make sure I'm not stepping on a snake. I'm gonna flip the camera, hang on. Check those out. Thanks, Cash and Coins. So I don't think those are oysters. They're like a look-alike. I actually I found those a couple weeks ago. It actually goes all the way up to the top of the tree. That's really cool. I found those a couple weeks ago when it was just starting to bloom, and I sent a picture to a couple mushroom experts, and I said, are those oysters? Because to me they look like oysters, and I was told no, those are a look-alike. Gotta be careful with the mushrooms, guys. So they can raise interest rates. Well, that will slow down some borrowing. That will probably slow down some spending. Not necessarily the best way to pull ourselves out of a recession, but you can make the argument that people are borrowing too much, and that's what's causing, like, there's too much money being liquid, there's too much velocity of money being used. I only think that's part of the problem. So if we see that announcement tomorrow, what will happen is you'll see a big pullback on stocks, okay? If So if you're not like worried about prepping right now, like if that's not an issue and you've already got your preps in place, that would be an opportunity for you, because that's going to be a temporary setback. You could potentially get in low and ride that wave back up. That's not really where we're going with this today, though. If they say they're not raising interest rates, right? And at this point, based on some of the stuff that Janet Yellen has said, I think we're 50-50 which way they go with this. But if they say they're not going to raise interest rates, then the stock market will have a good day tomorrow, or Thursday. I guess Thursday. It'll affect the end. Might affect the end of the day tomorrow, and then it'll definitely affect Thursday. Either way, you figure out. This is not financial advice. You figure out how you want to play that. Okay, that's just how it will work based on history. Man, my allergies are ripping me up. Okay, so Janet Yellen had hinted around that she was, we may have to raise interest rates, and then she got a lot of negative reaction from the financial community, and then she tried to walk it back and basically said, no, I'm not forecasting, I'm not predicting, and I'm not recommending that. So take that with you, what you, as you will. Oops, sorry guys, let's shift my notes here. No, and I don't see that happening yet either. All right, so let's talk about the unemployment issue. This is from Reuters.com. All right, no problem, Cashing Coins. Thank you so much for stopping in. Hey guys, if you're enjoying my content and you find it any way helpful for your preparedness plans or financial planning or anything else, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Share this with your friends. As of right now, I'm getting closer and closer to being able to apply for monetization. Checked it this morning, and I'm still need about 780 hours. So if anybody wants to do me a solid and run some of my playlists, I sure do appreciate it. Shoot me a message and let me know that you did that. I like to pay it forward and help other people out too. So you can message me, of course, on Instagram, everything_with_Sarge, or you can direct email me with businesswithsarge@gmail.com. All right, back to the topic. So Reuters had an article talking about unemployment. Storable food, absolutely. Yeah, if you're going to be cautious with the crypto, thank you, Chad and Stacking. Be cautious with the crypto. Crypto is very volatile on a good day, and I like to play around with crypto. I use it as like a, oh, thank you so much, Jessica. I appreciate that. I like to use crypto as a way to generate some extra money for myself. So the volatility in crypto, for when you look at it from that perspective, does me well. But know what you're doing. Be careful. Kind of start out slow, play with a little bit of money. If you're going to do that, don't go in heavy with it until you know what you're doing. And even then you might not want to. So this is from the Reuters article. I apologize if I missed your comment here. There are a lot of people unemployed, but there does not seem to be a lot of eagerness to work. This is from Chris Lowe. He is a chief economist at FHN Financial in New York. Right now, the unemployment is at about 7.6 million jobs, somewhere between there and 9.3 million. They're not, depending on how you run those numbers, there's different ways that can go. So think about that number, right? Let's average it out and we'll say 8 million jobs. 8 million people are unemployed right now. One second. So let's say 8 million people are unemployed right now. There's 8.1 million jobs unfilled. Unfilled. That means there is a job out there for every, I know it doesn't, like if you've got an engineering degree, I get that you don't want to go work mopping a floor or whatever, right? There's honor in that work, of course. I know my dad did construction. I'm not saying anything bad like that, but people want to work within their field, right? So, but in theory, there's a job out there. There's a job out there for everybody that wants to work. So why do we have 8 million people unemployed? Give me your answer in comments. And I'm just going to keep going. We'll come back to that in a second. Hey, Sherry. Yeah, we're going to come back to that one. This is why I think we're screwed. This is where I'm basing I'm doubling down on my bet that we go to a recession. And if I'm wrong, I'll never be more happy to be wrong in my life. Okay? Laziness. Okay. I would have worded it differently, but I'll go with that. Some people that don't want to work. Okay. This is why I'm doubling down. This is my smoking gun. This is my, this is it. if we don't fill those jobs, right? If we don't fill those 8 million jobs or close to it, that means there's less labor out there. Yeah, it does seem like that, doesn't it? That means there's less labor out there. And when there's less labor out there to produce the products for the consumers and the goods and services, yeah, and thank you, Deborah. I'm going to talk about that in a second and why that's a bad strategy. There is, hey, if there's not enough labor to produce the goods and services and the products, that means automatically prices have to go up. Supply and demand. This is not up for debate. If I've only taken basic economic classes, guys. I've taken a few business classes on economics. I've taken micro and macroeconomics. Supply and demand is not up for debate, right? It's just, and when I try to talk to people about this, they say, yeah, it doesn't mean that all prices are automatically going to go up. Yes, it does. It really does. And if you disagree, you need to go take a few classes. So our other option, right? And this is where I want to go back to your comments there. No worries. So what I'm reading, and this is also talking to other small, my wife and I own a couple small businesses. We do not currently employ anybody. We're open to that if our business takes off enough, but we don't currently employ anybody. Talking to some of the other small business owners in the area and things like that, the reason they're having a hard time filling these jobs is that people are holding out. Why are they holding out? Well, they're holding out for a couple different reasons. Number one, there is a big portion of yep, that's it right there. The pay isn't matching what they're getting from unemployment. So when we did that kind of a stimulus, at the moment, it was a good idea, I guess, because we were heading into possibly the greatest recession that we have seen since the 1930s. But now we're going to pay the price for it because people don't want to go back for their current salary. Now, we can get into a whole nother video talking about should they be paid more, should gig workers be paid more, should food, I'm not going to disagree with that. I've done food service, I've done retail. I know the pay sucks. I get it. I totally get it. It's not fair. But that's a different video. I can't completely cover that because we're clashing issues of the economy versus the microeconomy of an individual. So the other option here, right? And this is again part of the smoking gun. So either people go back to work or the prices go up. That's one. If employers give in, this is part two. If employers give the higher pay, right? So let's say we start paying a line cook at a fast food restaurant $25 an hour because it's considered a fair living wage. This is where people want to argue with me when I try to talk to them about it, and they don't understand basic economics, basic economic principles. Prices have to go up. They do. Okay, I operate a small business. Most mom and pop small businesses, forget about talking about like the big companies, right? Because a lot of those big companies like Google and stuff like that, they pay a fair wage anyways. But like little companies and mid-sized companies, small franchises, things like that, most of the time we're hanging on by the skin of our teeth, right? Like we're just barely making a 20% profit. That may sound like a lot. It's really not. You literally are almost living paycheck to paycheck yourself, right? So you can, maybe some of these businesses can raise wages a little bit. And I get the ethics piece of it. I work in human services, guys. I totally get it. I am a sympathizer. But if you do this, if you raise burgers, if you raise the line cook's salary to $25 an hour, there is no way. If you understand basic economics, there is no way that we don't raise the prices of the burgers, of your groceries, of your gas, of your everything. So then you're pushed into the start of hyperinflation. Okay, because what happens is if you're matching that salary to cost of living. And there was also, I left out a piece here too, where CNN just did a report where they interviewed people who had just graduated college with their 4-year degrees, and they were average salary, minimum salary that they said they would be willing to take. They're not, and these are people who can wait it out because a lot of them might be still living at home so they don't have to pay rent or mortgage. A lot of them, not everybody, I know I'm not trying to stereotype or anything, but a lot of them can wait you out and they'll just wait and wait and wait. They said they're not entering the market for less than $60,000. That was the average. That's up 20% from last year's, when they asked the graduating class of last year. 20%. Guys, we're screwed. This is the smoking gun. This is what I'm telling you. So either way, either solution puts us into inflation and possible, I'm going to say probable recession. Probable recession. Because if we raise your groceries, right? Let's say you're paying $100 a week right now for your groceries. I don't know what you're paying, you know, I'm just kind of picking a number out of the air. And then we tie the grocery clerk's salary to a fair living wage, right? So that means it has to go up every time inflation goes up. And we're causing inflation by raising their salaries, right? So do you get it? Do you see the problem? Like, it starts a spin cycle that can't be stopped. So each time that grocery prices go up, because you had to pay the workers more, the salaries are gonna have to go up. And that's how you get into hyper runaway inflation. And that's basically, it leads to economic collapse if we go down that route. Again, I know people are probably like, well, you're just not empathetic to, Yep. I am I've done food service, I've done retail, I get it, I really do. I am empathetic to how hard the struggle is, I really am. Lived many, many years living in the cheapest apartment in a really bad neighborhood, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner, and treating myself with pasta. That was like the big treat, you know, ramen noodles. Like, I get it, guys, I totally get it, I really do. I'm just saying the reality of the math doesn't work for what people are wanting. Hey, it's one of my coworkers. All right, let's go on to the next point here. So I hope everybody gets that point, right? Like, there's no way out of this situation. Either we pay people more, in which case we're going to cause inflation, or we can't get people back to the workplace, and that's going to cause inflation too. This is why I'm doubling down. All right, big one. This is probably, I'm gonna have to end with this, I think. The elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about is the coming eviction crisis, okay? So the eviction moratorium is, whoa, big old spider nest. All right, the eviction moratorium is supposed to end June 30th, okay? Unless somebody has information that contradicts that. This is another article from Forbes. Jay Atkinson, who is a wealth preservation expert, says, this is the title of the article if you want to look it up, America's homeless problem is about to get much worse. The eviction moratorium ends. As the eviction moratorium ends, sorry. Okay, so the vast majority of landlords, this is what Jay said, not what I'm saying, are mom and pops. These are people who own one or two little properties. Most of them cashed out their 401k and said, you know what, we're gonna run a business, and our business is renting out. This group has been screwed as bad as anybody else during this pandemic and this economy. No, there was no bailout for them that I know of. If you guys know about it, tell me. But as far as I know, so they've gone on, a lot of these guys have gone unpaid, and men and women, sorry, I didn't mean to say guys. Men and women have gone unpaid for, 18 months, I guess. This is the estimates. This is the scary number. The estimate is that there's 4.3 million people in the United States who are about to go homeless. Our national average right now is 500,000. So this is an 800% increase. And if you think that, like, guys, I work in human services, if you think our system is set up to handle that kind of surge, it is absolutely not. The shelters are full now, before this surge. This is a nightmare. I don't know that we've seen anything like this since the Great Depression. Okay, now my grandmother told me a lot of stories about the Great Depression. I've read a lot of good books about the Great Depression. You're talking about a lot of people living in, the people who will take up with families. So I hope you're prepared to take in your cousin Bob, his 5 kids and his 7 dogs, because that's what's about to happen. So there could be some solutions coming to that. That's 4.3 million people. There could be some solutions coming to that. There could be some kind of stimulus that goes to, I don't know. Like I'm searching, guys. I am searching this stuff. I'm researching this. This is my field, guys. I work in this field, so I'm spending my hours researching like what are the proposals on how we're going to deal with this problem, and I can't find jack. Okay, so I don't even know if anybody up at the top is looking at this, or if they're just burying their hands in the sand and hoping a problem goes away. A couple things that could happen: they could kick the moratorium down the road a little bit more. That will save the country from going into a massive homelessness surge. Screws the landlords yet again. So what are you going to do for the landlords? You're going to start pumping out stimulus checks for them? Maybe. Who's paying for that? Right? Think about this. We keep trying to buy our way out of this problem, and eventually you can't. You know, if you've got a credit card, you run your credit card up so high, eventually they'll stop giving you credit. Now, Warren Buffett says it doesn't matter because the United States is giving itself credit, so it doesn't matter. I've told you in my other videos, it does matter when your currency is rated against other world currencies. That's the piece he leaves out of that puzzle. I'm not saying I'm smarter than Warren Buffett. I'm saying he's spinning it in a way that's not telling you the whole story. So people who've had some nomadic experience, you guys watch some of my other videos about this stuff, you know, I know quite a bit about this population. They'll survive, right? And I'm not as worried about them. It's the people who've never been on the streets before. I'll have to look that up, Sarge. I don't know what that is, sorry. The people who don't, yeah. Well, and the other thing is, I keep this in mind too. I said 4.3 million or whatever. It's not going to be all at once. The courts are backed up. The courts are really backed up. So it will be a trickle, but it'll be a fast trickle. It's not going to be like you're going to notice the difference within a short period of time. But it won't be 4.3 million people all at once. The courts can't handle those many evictions. All right, let's end with this. My advice. Where are we going with this? So if you're already prepared and you've already been, got a few months worth of savings stacked back, you've got your food storage, things like that, you're in good shape. All you need to do is keep doing what you're doing. Be prepared that you may end up being in a situation where you're going to want to help family and friends. Maybe strangers, that's up to you. I'm not trying to push my ethics on you all. But keep doing what you're doing. If you've not done any preparations, now is the time to get your butt in gear. I would be trying to get as many months of savings saved as I could if I was in that boat. At least a couple months worth of rent or mortgage put back. I would be, if I think I'm about to be facing the eviction, I'd be getting ahead of that curve. Imagine, again, and they're not going to all hit the market at the same time, but imagine 500,000 people all of a sudden looking for housing at the same time. You're going to need to be a pretty darn good competitive tenant to get the look from the landlord. And if you've screwed your credit because you didn't pay your landlord for the last 18 months, you got to be coming up with some kind of plan. I know you're going to hear spins about how 500,000 people return to the workforce. Go back and read those articles that I quoted here. They're not meeting, it's a spin. They're not meeting the expectation of where they want it to be. And they talk about that in the articles. Okay, people are not going back to work at the rate that they need them to. So I would be, if I had not done any preps, I would not now, and I was in one of these boats, now would not be the time to, now would not be the time to pour money into precious metals. I'd be pouring money into cash right now if I was in that boat. I'd be real careful with your money. If you are, and here's my advice for those who are unemployed. If you're waiting to see if the unemployment is going to get kicked forward, and you're going to get the bonus for another couple months, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And in some states, it's definitely not going to happen. Do you want to be, it's the same thing. You have to understand some basic economics here. Do you want to be supply and demand? Do you want to be entering the workforce trying to apply for a job at the same time as 300,000 other people in your state? I've been in that situation. I've talked about that in other videos where I got laid off in the recession and trying to find work. Yep. Trying to find work when you're trying to find it at the same time as everybody else, it's not a good position to be in. So get ahead of that. I think that's my message here. That's what I'm going to end with. If you're in either of those boats, if you're about to lose your housing, if you're about to lose your unemployment, get ahead of this. You don't want to enter into a recession already behind that curve, because you're going to be competing with everybody else who's also looking for the same resources, right? So just as a metaphor, think about when everybody was looking for toilet paper at the same time, right? Last year, everybody's looking for toilet paper at the same time. The toilet paper in this case is housing and jobs, okay? I don't know how else to make that clear, guys. Steve, have a good afternoon. I'm getting ready to wind up. I appreciate you popping in. But the toilet paper in this case is housing and jobs, and that's what's going to be a shortage of when everybody tries to get them at the same time, okay? This is why it's not about panic, it's about preparedness, and I'm asking you to be prepared. I know everybody in here, I'm preaching to the choir. I know you all get it. Spread the message to those who don't, please. You know, help them out, help them be ahead of this curve, because it's coming. You too, Steve, you too. All right, everybody, I gotta get back to work. Keep planting your seeds. Check out each other's channels. Give each other some support. If you haven't already done so, please give me a thumbs up. I will see you. I got a video coming Friday. You can check that out. It's a product review for the Wazoo cash cap. And then I'll be live again next Tuesday around the same time, okay? Yeah, and you can't, and Steve and I had said in another conversation, we can't force people to listen. All we can do is put it out there and hope that the people who want some help will take it. Keep planting your seeds, guys. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.